sometimes we like the shiny objects and we want to fast forward to the shiny object.
For sure.
And we're not ready for the shiny object.
For sure. So I guess out of all the things I've seen, when I think about business structure, 3 of them come to mind. 2 of them I like, 1 of them I don't. So we'll go to the board and I'll explain it. Thank you for tuning in to Mind Your Business. Mind Your Business is an educational network. We are not your fiduciary. Seek your financial or tax or legal professional for any information you get in here before you apply it to your business. Peace.
Let's go. Guys, my name is Farah B. Collins. I am one half of this dynamic duo, and this is...
I'm Tariq Collins, a.k.a. Dr. Blackwell.
Let's go. All right, well, let me put my hand on. I'm Mrs. Fan Financial.
That's right.
And so welcome to Mind Your Biz.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, this is our first episode of Minding Your Biz. We created this network in order to teach entrepreneurs everything about their business, how to grow it, mind it, scale it, right? There's a lot of people out there teaching how to make money via whatever industry. Not too many people teaching how to actually take that, grow it, scale it, so you can have a sustainable business to lead or to sell, whatever your choice might be.
For sure. So me and Tariq talk a lot, right? We talk a lot about business because we've been in the financial space for a while, right? And so when you're in that space, sometimes you get a little comfortable and jaded, and what's really comfortable for us and familiar to us and run of the mill for us, we realize it's not for other people. And a lot of business owners are really running their business in a deficit, right? We see that being in the tax space, having conversations with business owners on multiple levels, that there are a few fundamentals and basics that are just missing. And we get it, right? Because in our communities, running a business, sometimes you just hit the gas and you go, and you really skip steps 1 through 5, which are really important to have a business that will bend and not break.
For sure. So we see, just from what we do, so we do taxes at a large scale, and so we have a number of clients that we see on an every day basis that we're dealing with, and so we're seeing people who have great businesses, great ideas, but just lack the organization to reach their fullest potential. So, I mean, I try to see and talk to you about, helping these people, because it just racks my brain about how we're not that business savvy. And I get it, right? Most of us coming from, especially our community, we're not starting a business with, $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 or $1 million from family, friends, investors. We're starting from an idea and right into sales. So,
but not to cut you off, but that's why we started it, right? So the Mind Your Business is a channel, a learning community where you can tap in, watch us, and get some fundamental insights and skills that'll help you take your business to the next level, right? And so through this journey, we want to make sure that we just change the mindset of generations to come, even people right now, on what business looks like. And being really tapped in and purposeful about knowing the numbers, knowing your business. And so that's why we created this, right? We were like, hey, instead of us in our office complaining and talking about y'all, we're like, we gonna be action takers and put some information out that we think people could really learn from, right? Because we know that all of you gurus are taking care of y'all, teaching y'all all the things, how to turn nothing into something, how to be everything.
How to get $1 million from funding.
Listen.
How to market, how to create bundles.
All the things.
How to get in the trucking space, all this stuff.
Absolutely. And so we really wanted to give you guys some of the fundamentals and basics that'll just really give you a holistic look at what your business should look like, right? From infancy all the way up to corporate public status, right, with shares and shareholders. So our first introduction, guys, we want to talk about, the background, the foundation, the fundamentals of business and what that looks like, right? And so Let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's go. Let me get my trusty pad. Don't we talk about my pad? I'm old school. People be pulling out their phones, but I got my pad. First topic, right? People always talk about the business entity, right? Everyone's like, I'm gonna be an LLC, I'm gonna be an S corp, I'm gonna be a sole proprietor. Well, I don't think anyone wants to be a sole proprietor, but they end up being a sole proprietor, right? And so, or I'm a partnership, I'm gonna be a nonprofit. And so we want to give you guys some clarity on the business entity and structure, what it is, what it can be, and what you should just get over, right? Sometimes we like the shiny objects and we want to fast forward to the shiny object.
For sure.
And we're not ready for the shiny object.
For sure. So I guess out of all the things I've seen, when I think about business structure, 3 of them come to mind. 2 of them I like, 1 of them I don't. So we'll go to the board and I'll explain it. Sounds ready? Cool. All right, so 3 business structures, 3 entities that I typically like, right? So let's go biz, entity. I'm not a spelling bee champ, y'all. All right. So the first one is a sole prop.
That's just you by yourself.
Right, so
no coverage.
For sure. This is the one that I absolutely just don't like, right? But the thing about the sole prop to understand is something that most people just miss. So the IRS says all income is reportable. So typically, if you're just doing business in your name, right, you are automatically a sole proprietor because you got to report that income. Legally, we don't have to file this with anybody's Secretary of State or Florida SunBiz. It's interchangeable with your social. You can get an EIN. You also can get a bank account, but you don't have to register it with the Secretary of State. The reason why I don't like it is because it leaves you open. It leaves you open for all type of asset protection legal wars, right? So if we get into any lawsuits or anything, your personal assets will be taken based off whatever the lawsuit is, right? So we want to avoid this. If we're doing this, we want to, this is our hobby stage. We want to kind of get used to doing something to figure out if we really like it, want to do it. And once we figure out like, okay, I want to go all in, let's go ahead and change it to, one of my favorite is an LLC.
And I'm sorry, Reed, just to piggyback on that, the sole proprietor stage is something that you start the thing and you do it, right? You don't have to do a lot of preparing, right? Sometimes people are, I can't do my business. I can't sell. I can't make money until I get an LLC, until I register. That is not true. You can go out today and sell a product or a service, hand over fist, and use cash exchange, and then go, dang, I got something here.
For sure.
Let me go, I'm a business. Let me open up an account with my social, so I can now look at the money in its entirety. I'm a sole proprietor. Yeah. Sometimes we want to go for the shiny object and we ain't sold nothing.
Like I'm a huge strategic and planning person.
And I'm not.
I'm big on
like no, I'm kind of playing.
I'm like super huge on it. I always think that we should start with the end in mind. However, what I don't get caught up in is the ability to just be planning stuff that we actually don't do, right? So I always like people call me about tax strategies and we don't have enough money. Just go out there and make the money. The sole proprietor.
Please go make the money.
For that, right? Like,
please go make the money. You make the money. You have the time, the skill.
For sure.
The resources to hire the people to get all this together. Because you do need to get it together. Yeah. But we get so focused on the strategic planning that we never do the thing, which is make the money.
Yeah. Now, let's don't mistake us. I'm not saying, don't get your stuff together. Yeah. What I am saying is don't allow the whole formality
to be a roadblock.
To be a roadblock.
I got you.
Making money.
Yeah, I agree. We working. That's it.
Right. So once you go from sole proprietor, you start the limited liability company. Now, I like the LLC's limited liability company because of the name, right? Limited liability. These entities came about. These are kind of new entities relative to the world, right? When businesses was first being formed, way back when in the 1500s, we started with corporations. So what you would see is way back then, people will go out, you know how we found out that Columbus supposedly discovered America. But what they would do was they would go out and make discoveries, and they will have to put a business entity on the boats and the ships and the people on there, because it was just no guarantee. That was the risk. It was no guarantee that whatever they voyage out to, they will find stuff. And so that's how they created the corporations. But then limited liability came about to kind of be that in-between step between a corporation and for you to have some protection. So LLCs, we actually formed this with the Secretary of State.
That's new, like 50 years?
Yeah, it's really not like
that
old, right? But like corporations date back to like the early 1500s. So with the limited liability company, you actually form this with the Secretary of State. You're going to actually go get an EIN. You're going to actually run over to whatever bank account and get you a bank account. I always like to say big bank, small bank, just so you have options, right? So big bank will be like the Bank of America, the Wells Fargos, the Chases. The small banks will be credit unions and regional banks like what's the Truist or BB&T, SunTrust, whatever.
Go find a bank based on your needs and your neighborhood.
For sure.
I like the big bank, little bank, but you don't have to open up banks with everyone if you don't have the capital and the money. If they're free, then go ahead to establish the relationship.
It definitely costs you.
Costs you money.
Yeah, it costs you to open them up.
Keep your expenses manageable and low. So the people that's like, oh, get a relationship with all these people.
For sure.
Absolutely not. You're not at that shiny stage yet. Unless you have the funds to fund these accounts.
Like, look at your situation. Like, one example is veterans, right? So veterans can go get a Chase account without having to pay fees or have to worry about monthly fees on the account, stuff like that. I know because I use it. I'm a vet, right? So LLCs, they also provide you with the ability to move things in and out easily and give you that first line of defense of separating you from the business, right? From a tax standpoint, it doesn't, but from a legality standpoint, it does, all right?
Now, and at this stage, I do want to throw in here that you are still taxed as a sole proprietor.
Right, the taxes are the same.
The taxes are the same, and you are filing it together with your personal return. So because taxes is our foundation, is what we do. So we're going to try to definitely give you tax background and information too. So for the people that are like, oh, I'm going to file my business separate and you're still an LLC, there's no separate. Now it's going to go on a separate form called a Schedule C, but it is not a separate tax return. You're not taxed separately. You are taxed as a sole proprietor. So those are together.
Yeah. So both of these are taxed at 15.3% self-employment tax only. We haven't even covered ordinary income tax. The key thing about an LLC is your operating agreement. We must start to do business properly. And so the operating agreement is basically your rules of how you run your business, exactly what the name is, where you're banking at, how many members. With this, you can go into partnerships, right? So if you have more than one member, you're automatically in a partnership. It tells you what the percentage of interest is. Depending on how we have our structure, we'll go over that in another episode. I like to foundationally start with trust. So if we open up an LLC, I'm normally doing like manager managed when I open up business owners LLCs, right? But just make sure that you try to figure out what's best for you. The operating agreement sets you up for that aspect to actually run your business. It's not required for you to have like annual meetings and things of that nature, but I strongly recommend it because it gets you in the habit and it'll save you when we have to go into this next entity, which is S Corp.
Now you got to add number 4. You got to add that BOI report.
Oh, that's right.
That's new. January 1, 2020. For the BOI, you have to.
So let's do this.
But you don't have to do it with the sole proprietor.
I know, but
I got it.
We Xing out of this. But so basically now the what is it? The 2024, we got to do
an additional step.
Yeah.
When you start your business, you got to get your EIN number. You got to get your bank account. You got to have an operating agreement.
Yeah.
to be an LLC, you had to register in some state entity, but you now also have to register with the federal government and the financial crimes department. They want to know who are the owners of said business.
Right.
And if you got 30 days,
Yep.
if you don't do what the fines start, $500 a day, that is a real thing that's effective January 1, 2024 for new business owners.
For sure.
If you are an existing business owner, you have a year to give them their report before your fines start to accumulate. That's not like made up. That's not theory. Congress has passed it.
Yeah.
It's going down.
Better report it. So look, guys, so now we got our LLCs and we making money, right? So when we switch to what's S Corp, right, which is one of my favorites, when we switch to an S Corp, typically it's really for one reason. This is how we initially get into it. One of the reasons is to save us on this 15.3% taxes that we're dealing with, right? So a lot of us like to say, hey, jump S Corp, jump S Corp, jump S Corp, but everybody don't always know the rules on how to maintain it, right? So what I like to say is if you start in your LLC, right, once we start doing this operating agreement and also, we want to add a P&L, right, which is your profit and loss statement so that you can track your income and expenses. Once you profit somewhere between $35,000 to $40,000 a year profit, so we're talking bottom line, you gross $100,000, but you profited $40,000 a year. You want to switch to S Corp because it's going to save you the taxes, and here's your first tax plate, right? But in order to be an S Corp, one of the requirements is, in addition to all the stuff we have in the LLC, one of the requirements is the owners, the shareholder has to be on W-2 income, which means you got to put yourself on official payroll. I like to recommend that only one person should own the S Corp. That's just how I like to do it. And it could be your holding company. You'll turn your LLC into an S Corp. So keep in mind that S Corp is not a Secretary of State election. It's a tax entity election via a form called the 2553, which elects you to go S Corp, right?
Right.
So
with the 80.
Right, or down if you're a C Corp, right? So these are basically the top three entities, and you can do, the LLC gives you room of flexibility to do a number of different things. One of them will be go to an S Corp so that your tax picture is low. You start to have a W-2. Why would you want to get a W-2? One of the reasons is you want to start to separate yourself from the business. So when you go places like get a home, credit cards, whatever that looks like, and they're looking for proof of income, you can say, hey, here's my W-2, versus saying, hey, I'm self-employed. Now it opens you up to all kind of stuff. Let me open up the 12 months of bank statements, 6 months of cash flow, right? And most of us not tracking our stuff anyway. But once we get here, it's real imperative that we start tracking income and expenses so we can make sure that we can afford to stay on W-2 income year over year over year.
And so this is when I kind of go into my big topic, which is budgeting, right? And so the S Corp is the shiny object. It looks really sexy. Everyone wants to be like, I'm an S Corp, I'm going to do this. However, to get to that S Corp status, there are several things that need to happen when you're in that phase 2. You might have to sit in phase 2 for several years. You need to build up cash flow. You need to build up savings account, short-term, long-term. You need to have a team. S Corp status is going to cost you more money. Once you grow into that S Corp, you need to get payroll, bookkeeping. You might have to have a CFO.
Yeah.
You might have to build a team, right? As your business starts to make money, because why are we doing an S Corp? To save taxes,
yeah,
right? Or to figure out the strategy. That's a growth thing. And so sometimes people want to jump out of 2 and jump right into 3, and we're not ready.
Like, don't just do it just to save taxes alone.
Because
you can't maintain.
You're not really saving,
sure.
Because the taxes is going to cost you more money to even do the S Corp, because that's 2 returns now. You got to do a personal one and you got to do a corporate one.
So you're paying your tax preparer more money.
You're paying
the business taxes
more money. We said you got to have a W-2. So what we talking about? Employee taxes.
Yeah. Payroll
taxes.
That's
right. You got to do quarterly taxes.
Right.
So you got to have some discipline, some things in place so that you're ready for that S Corp graduation, right? Or you got to be a person that takes action.
Yeah.
Right. And so when we get there in that S Corp status, we need to look at our budget. What does our cash flow look like? Are you really deep diving into the numbers of your business to determine, yup, I got a handle on my expenses. I know my operating expenses.
Yep.
I know what that looks like every month. So I'm ready to start doing some things. And so that is the next fundamental thing. So we went over legality. Picking the legality, right? That's what we just went over. What does that look like?
Yep.
And so now you can say, okay, I got it. I can start off as a sole proprietor. I don't need to burn down the roof to hurry up and get LLC. I could be a sole proprietor in transition. All right, now I'm an LLC. I hear everybody online talking about transition to an S Corp. Well, I'm not ready for that, right? Maybe I'm not, because I need to do some things. So let's talk about those things, those disciplines, as you sit in that LLC stage 2 phase, right? Depending on your growth, your own personal discipline, that'll determine how you transition into the S Corp and then maybe C Corp or any other entities, right? But there's some few fundamentals in there that you really need to, for me, start to really think about, right? And so we talked about earlier why most people start businesses, especially in the Black community. We start them out of pain. We start them out of, we need some extra income. We need some extra money. And so because funding and venture capitalism is not a thing in our community, we're usually starting it from our W-2 job. We're really kind of putting peanuts together to try to make it happen. And now people are talking about business funding and getting lines of credit and all that type of thing to try to start the business, to just get some money. But we're kind of flying the plane without the pilot, right? There's usually not to me, a clear strategy on what that looks like. And some of it is our fault and some of it is not our fault. But in the beginning, when you talk about the business, right, you want to think about a few things when you talk about budgeting, right? What is the budget? How much money do I need to make this thing fly, right? What does that look like? Even if you're going after funding, right, or you're getting, people use starter kick, or kickstart, right? When you do crowdfunding, you need to have a plan, a business plan. It doesn't have to be formal maybe, but you need to write some stuff up and figure out where the money is going. I'm not a board person. I could write it up here. Hopefully y'all picking up what I'm putting down.
Take some notes, y'all. Take some notes.
So when he referred to the board, y'all can take a picture, a screenshot, whatever happens. But you just better listen to me clearly and write it down as I'm going. So we talk about that, planning out the business, right? Thinking about what does the whole picture look like? How much money do I need, right? So what does that look like? Okay, what's my operating cost? So let's say I'm trying to start a tax business or a hair salon, right? What are said costs? You got your startup costs. That's what you really are figuring out, that budget. What do I need to start it? Is it inventory? Is it softwares? Is it computers? Is it personnel? Is it and also your marketing plan? How am I going to reach people? Is it Google ads, Facebook ads? Is it influencers? Am I buying leads? Am I, showing up at conferences, right? We have to think about how we're paying to grow the business. The marketing plan is important. What does that look like? You really can't take your business to the next level or even start with a good foundation without this stuff, guys. And really,
when do we know that's important? I'm thinking about all the entrepreneurs out there who just got started. And what if they just started making money? How do we know when to start the track, when the numbers is important, how to plan?
The numbers are important initially. However,
I got y'all. All y'all who just started and made 6 figures and now you're trying to figure it out. I don't know.
I got it, right? Because that person, because that is an outlier. That's not the norm. Most people do not start a business and make 6 and 7 figures within the first year. First 2 years maybe, depending on the business model. So that person has something else that a lot of people don't have, which is a drive and an ambition to do it without letting the strategy and having all the ducks in order, get in the West, right? Those are doers.
Yeah.
And so those people who are doing the thing do need to now to take a side step and go, wait a minute, I've done this thing. I'm making money. I made a viral post. I blew up. My candles is selling. What's happening here, right? And so there's a few things that need to happen. You need to set up a budget, right? What does that look like? Your operating budget. How much money is it costing me? So it's several budgets you want to have, a personal budget and a business budget. So your personal budget is about your person, you. How much money do you need or do you use to operate? And so what happens a lot of times in our businesses is we upgrade our lifestyles way too soon because we don't have a budget. And we end up bankrupting the business. And now your business was flying high or doing well for 2 years and you don't know what happened. Which is why 8 out of 10 Black businesses don't work and 2 out of 5 never make it to 5, right? They say most businesses don't make it out of 5 years. And it's these type of things that we're going to talk about that people don't get down. And it's self-discipline. You got a budget. That's not the shiny object. It's not sexy. It's not fun. Nobody's talking about it. But trust and believe you need to budget. Your person, right? If you've been living on a W-2 job for $30,000, $40,000, and your business starts to make money, we immediately go, oh I'm making 6 figures. No, you still need to live off $40,000 for a while until your business is self-sustaining, right?
Can't go get the new BMW.
You better not go get the new BMW because all that stuff has cost attributed that increases your personal budget, right? So your personal budget is your rent, your car note, your light bill, your kids, if they in daycare or they go to school, they in chair, they in whatever your personal stuff is. What does that look like now? If it's $5,000 a month, you better keep it $5,000 a month for a while. Maybe give yourself a 20, not even 20%. What's the average raise the jobs get companies? 33%?
Yeah.
Well, that's inflation, 3%. Give yourself a 3% raise.
I work for the government. They give you 3% raise automatic.
There you go.
Keep pacing.
So why would you then give yourself 20, 30, 50% raise?
I ain't the government. This is my business.
But now the business has no money to operate. The business.
I don't care nothing about that. We got to eat today. That's what's
all the money going to the CEO. Now the business don't have no money for inventory.
Yeah.
Doesn't have no money for employees or scaling or marketing. Yeah. And so you stuck at a certain level because you decided to give yourself a 20, 30, 60% pay increase. And you didn't think about a budget first and foremost for yourself. Now let's talk about the budget for your business. There's money coming in and happening. You need to slow down and go, oh, shoot, okay, there's money coming in. But where's it coming from? Where's it going? Because sometimes money comes in, but maybe you're not as profitable as you thought.
I talk to so many clients, and they be like, we made money, but I don't know what's happening. I don't know where the money going, where it's at, right? Or how it comes up is how I owe this much money in taxes. We don't have. I'm like, well, this how much the business made.
I operate on clarity. If I can see, and how can you clearly see is separating personal budget. If you say I'm gonna pay myself I would say give yourself $6,000 a month. Whatever your personal expenses are, you in the LLC or sole proprietor stage, and you don't have a payroll company, you're doing an owner's draw. You're transferring that $3,000 a month from your business account to your personal account.
Yeah,
you could do it bi-weekly, as long as it's consistent for you and the IRS.
Just gotta make sure you include that in your profit when you do your taxes.
It's clear. Okay, I'm gonna transfer this money from my business to my personal. Now my personal side, I'm using my owner's draw to pay my bills. And you're not commingling the funds. Hopefully y'all already got that from another guru or somebody.
They don't.
You need to have a separate business account.
Right.
That's probably steps 0. You need to have a separate business
account. Most people have a business account, but then they don't treat the business with enough respect to not dib and dab in there with their personal expenses. So that's what the IRS called commingling.
That's right. That's self-discipline. So you have to separate it, y'all.
So if you got a personal expense that you know you want to pay for and it's not business related, you need to transfer that money, send it to your personal account, and then pay for it.
And don't try to make it a business expense after the fact, right? And that's right. 'Cause that's what happens. And we operate our business on the defensive and not offensive. That's another topic. That's for another day. But you want to plan out. And so initially starting these habits, initially is okay, I'm gonna separate. I'm gonna pay myself $3,000 a month. And I'm gonna operate over here. I'm gonna pay my kids. I'm gonna get their hair cut, their hair braid, all that stuff from my personal account. Now in the business side, what does that look like? What is my business budget? What do I need to operate the business? Those things are also called deductions, guys. What's in that side? What do I need for advertising? What do I need? If I'm running a hair salon, do I need towels? Do I need products? Right? If you're in a salon, what does my rent look like? Right? All of those things are coming out of that business account or your business credit card. Okay. Now the budget is what you need to allot for said things. Right? Just because it's in there doesn't mean you need to spend it. And that's the problem, right? And so sometimes people do 30%. All right, well, I'm going to pay, for inventory, right? And so that's the things you need to run and operate the business, okay? So if the business brought in $10,000, you're going to take $2,500 out of that and pay yourself. We left with what?
$7,500.
$7,500 is left. What does that look like in there? You need to divvy that up.
Yeah, that's good.
Right. And so you can say I'm going to do 20% for advertising, 10% I'm going to put in a savings account, or I'm going to put that away for taxes. Right. We got to forget taxes. The money you make does not belong to you. It belongs to the government and your business. Yeah. You all are profit sharing. Okay. It's a You and your business and the IRS are profit sharing. If people think that money belongs to them, it doesn't. It belongs. I'm actually add someone else in there, and that's God. But we can get with that another. That y'all all sharing this, right? It's for His will and His way that you are able to do the things you need to do, and then He say it goes to you, the government, and your business.
For sure.
And not specifically in that order, but y'all understand if it's a pie chart, all three of y'all on the pie, okay? So, but you think it's all you, and it doesn't. And so those are some of the main fundamentals I really want y'all to understand. So it's $7,500 left. 10% of the $7,500 is going to go to a tax account, right? That's $700. And this is monthly. And you can go all the way up to 15 or 20%, but at least 10%. At least 10%.
Now we at $6,800.
Now you at $6,800. And so you got to go, even if you got $6,800 in there, I got $6,000. That's not your money. That belongs to the business. Now, what are your, okay, well, I need to now spend $1,000 on ad spend. So now you're down to 5,800, right? What is did you have short-term goals for the business? Long-term goals. Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to take $700 of that and I'm going to put it towards my long-term business goal, because I think eventually I want to buy a building. You got to strategize for what you want. You can't say, oh, I got $5,000 left over. I'm going to take the whole $5,000 or $2,000. No. Budget and strategic, delay gratification for the things you want down the line so that you can live today for tomorrow. So we down to $5,100. Now we put away money for taxes and we put away money for advertising. Now your inventory or product. If you are a hair salon, I would say 20% of that goes back into re-upping the business. So what's 20%? Probably 30%. Almost 30% of that.
30%. So 1,530.
So 1,500 goes back into the business to re-up, right? That's to buy products, that's to buy inventory. Or you could be aggressive and go, I'm going to do 30% of it. I'm going to do, if you are really aggressive, like, no, I need to make more inventory. I need to sell out Black Friday. I'm going to take, long as you're not bankrupting it, I'm going to probably take about, you could probably still do 30% of it, because you still need to leave money for miscellaneous stuff, right? If you have a Shopify, like some of your software, right? You still got to pay those things out, right? If you have web hosting, if you have a CRM, if you have those websites and software that you need to run the business on the back end, right? If you have like Vonage or ClickFunnels, what do those things look like? So you don't want to take everything out to re-up. You want to think about what your operating costs are. So once you have that, you can roll over into the next month in the positive. So that next month, if you're doing $10,000 a month and you can divvy it up and do the same thing every month, by 90 days, you'll have some money, right? What's in our tax? Because we did $700 every month for taxes. So 700 times 3.
It's $2,100.
We got $2,100 savings in our tax savings accounts.
For a quarterly payment.
For quarterly tax, right? Because we budgeted out. And also, too, we didn't upgrade our lifestyle. You're still living off of that $40,000 a year. Oh my God, I make it. No. Jeff Bezos lived off of 20 grand for about 20 years. They said 2 decades. That's 20 years.
It is. But they didn't do 2 decades. I thought they did 10 years.
Maybe it was 10. However it was long enough.
It was long delayed.
He said
You started making money, buddy.
it was long enough.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, typically, so I know y'all probably like, oh, this sounds good, this, that, and the third, right? So normally how I get clients is like, this is a real thing, real life thing. It also even happened with me, right? So we started our business, we started making money, we started doing taxes. And then what happened was we quickly got to multi 6 figures, right? And so you like, man, like this is a real thing. I can figure it out, right? Even if it's 5 figures, whatever that dollar amount is that makes you get the feeling of, I can really do this. Normally that follows an intentionality of you saying, how can I do this bigger? How can I scale? How can I grow? The only way you do that is by getting control of the finances, knowing what's going in, knowing what's going out. So you can plan out, have intentions on exactly what you're going to spend on advertising, what you're going to do, how you're going to grow it, because that's how you're going to scale the business. At the foundation of it, all businesses is the same. We made sales, we have expenses, we got money left over. In between that is everybody.
You hope you got money left over.
Right.
You hope you got money left over.
For sure. But if you don't, then that's the storyline that I'm always going through.
Yes.
Your money's going somewhere.
Yes.
We need to figure out where it's going.
Either you need to make more money,
right,
or spend less.
And I think you should do both, right? So I'm a big advocate of so you ever read Rich Dad Poor Dad? That was one of the things of the poor mindset. Once we don't have enough money, so the poor mindset is we first think about cutting expenses, right? And so that's not a bad thing, but we also need to generate a mindset of also growth. How to make more money,
growth,
right? What can I do to make me more money, or how can I scale said business or X, Y, and Z, right?
Yep. Businesses are small and large do it all the time.
So sure.
To recycle, refund, renew. How can we scale? How can we grow bigger? It starts with a slash. They start cutting labor, and then they start to increase revenue by focusing that money that they cut into a different area or opportunity in ads and invention. And
the only way we know that is by knowing the numbers, guys. So I mean, it's really that simple. What's our last thing?
So we did the budget, right? We started off what business entity you want to do. We talked about that budgeting plan, what that looks like. And inside of there, too, we talked about the marketing, where that grows. And you just kind of touched on that growth plan. What does it look like to grow? And having the capacity to think about the growth and not staying stagnant and low level doing the thing, right? Because that's how you then really separate yourself as the CEO of the company.
And that's a big mindset shift, right? That's a big mindset shift, right? So like one of my mentors, Marcus, he says, you can't grow a business bigger than you build yourself, right? Can't build a business bigger than you build yourself. So mindset shift on like, well, okay, we made money. We got the right entity. We made us some traction. This is a real thing. I want to really pursue it. I want to make sure I make 7 figures. I want to leave something for my family. Oh my God, this works. I'm going to leave my 9 to 5. We're going all in, right? At that point, really before that, but at that point, we done went through the budgeting and know what come in, what's going out. So you got a bookkeeper, right? We getting some professionals. We got a tax strategist or somebody on your team, a financial person on your team. And then you have that mindset shift to understand, well, I can't do it all, right? I only have but 2 hands. So now it's almost the hiring process, which you probably did a little bit of that in between there. But now we get real serious about it. Who's going to be our operator? Who's our number 2 person? Who's our Who's our marketing person? Who's helping you with this, right? So you can only focus on the things that you're good at.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
And not truly segmenting yourself and then really rising into being the CEO and the thought thinker in the business, right? And one of the things that really, because this is happening in real time in my own business, right? As we've always, for the most part, been able to separate ourselves a little bit from the business and been able to manage and bring in people, but to fully operate in that leadership space really requires self-actualization, right? And so for me, it was like, hey, we're in a rebuilding. We're needing to do a different thing and go to a different level. Then I need to be that. I can't ask more than I'm not willing to give. So I need to be a better leader. I need to be a better communicator. I need to understand and communicate people better. And so sometimes we think it's the people and the personnel. Yeah, that could be some part of it. But most times it's us, right? And so the thing that really helped me, accountability, was the flight assessment that really helped me pinpoint my behavior style and how I can communicate better to my team and allow me to trust, because it's usually a trust situation. We usually kind of, in that, when we talk about changing the mindset, we still have that worker mentality, right? We still go from working in the W-2 job to now just working in our business. So we have to transition to not working in that, but allowing people to take care of our baby and what that looks like. And we usually don't trust because we don't usually have systems in place. We don't usually have certain things to allow and create the environment for your team to take ownership of the thing so you can do something else. And so that really was pivotal for me to help grow the business to the next phase. And so after you talk about picking your legal entity and we talk about budgeting, you really want to talk about accountability and being really accountable about the money that comes in and out of your business. Like, I don't, like, it is beyond to the point that I almost feel like it's disrespectful. Like, you are being so flagrant and disrespectful with God's money that you do not care about the ins and outs of your business. And just to piggyback a real life example, it's a client who was multi-million-dollar company. Me and Tariq, we talk about a lot. We are in the office just amazed by the flagrant disrespect for God's money in your business. Hey, we need to jump on a Zoom and talk about your business. Let's schedule the Zoom. We got to stand in the point. Hey, and you don't show up, you send your assistant. Okay, I guess. But your assistant can't really communicate everything. And then it's several conversations back and forth about the information needed. Then you never really understand what's happening with the business. You never jump on, you never call. I can't even help you lower your tax debt. You don't know the numbers, really. And then it's like, hey, is it done? Am I saving taxes?
For sure.
It can't be that nonchalant. I feel like it's something in the psyche that's like, oh, when I make more money, I have to be like, rich people don't budget, or rich people don't have a handle of their expenses. But we see the example time and time again across the board, how people get ripped off. How people you think are taking care of your taxes, you think your assistant is doing. Now, if me and the assistant decided that we was going to do X, Y, and Z, we could have. You as a business owner never showed up. Don't know your numbers, what's coming in and out.
You'd be a Steve Harvey case.
Listen, you have to show up. And I get it. It's like, no, I don't get it. Like, I'm not even going to act like I get it.
I
don't get it.
It comes from a place to, like, it comes from it just comes from a lack standpoint that we just doesn't know. We don't know. So finances,
I don't think that's an excuse anymore. And I used to carve that out. I used to be like, well, in our community,
they are vulnerable to finance.
But let me tell you something. People will dig up some ish on the internet to find out some stuff that has no benefit to them.
Yeah. But won't seek professional help about their money.
and their business and their business and financial acumen is so important. So, and that doesn't mean that you need to be a financial guru, but that means you need to show up at accounting, budgeting, tax planning meetings and get a handle of your operating expenses, what comes in and out, so that you can look at and get the feeling, the emotional connection to your business, the ebbs and flows of your business. If you don't know how your business runs, you don't know the seasonality of your business, you don't know that the first 2 quarters are high and my last 2 quarters are low, because you just making the money coming in and out, and you never took time for yourself or let someone explain how your business is running and operating, how she feels. I say she because that's, how I go. But how your business,
I got y'all fellas. Don't worry about
how she's doing.
Yeah.
And by the time you realize that most times it's too late, because you're not doing a SWOT analysis, you're not in tune to your market and the business. And so you either allow external people, right, the assistant or someone else to rob you, or you letting the market dictate you, and you weren't ready for the recession. You weren't ready for a technology change. And so then you become the Starbucks of the Blockbuster of your industry, and you're out the door because we are disrespectful. I just feel like it's just disrespectful with it because we don't think it's a thing. You're like, oh, I'm making money. As long as the bills are getting paid and I can fly on a private jet or I can buy the designer stuff,
I'm
gonna let somebody else do it.
I think y'all just don't know. And sometimes you just don't know what you don't know too. You need to know.
No, I go with that for 2 seconds and 2 minutes.
I'm gonna give y'all the benefit of the doubt. Until you talk to me, I know you don't know. Once you
YouTube University,
then I can see.
And if I would look at the global picture, and that is also a big difference maker and how businesses scale and how you could bend and not break. When you look at the global market, you got to start thinking bigger. If large Fortune 500 companies are like laying people off, if they are pivoting, changing different industries, like, solar is a thing, all these EV cars, all these like container houses, we can't get foreign labor in, right? If we can't get foreign labor in, foreign labor is heavy on what? Construction, houses, right? The industry starts to change, and you got to be tapped into that. If you are your head down, running, doing the thing, the world around you is changing and moving, and you're not even ready for it.
They don't be wanting to pay attention to that.
That's disrespectful and flagrant to me.
But that's the thing is, guys, like, we say we're going to be.
It's a mindset thing. I know.
It is. Like, we want to be business owners. We want to leave a leg. That's all we hear. I want to leave something to my kids because my parents ain't left me nothing. I want to make sure I build a business that take care of me. I'm ready to leave my job. But we don't be serious and be in the thing that we want to do. Study, right? Like, not only are we preparing taxes and working with business owners on a daily basis, but we study business. We study companies. We study what's going on around the world from a business standpoint, right? Economics, what's coming into America, what's going out. All this stuff affects everything, right? You see all these people coming up with
politics. Listen, don't get me. We're going to talk about it another time.
So you got all this stuff going on with people striking. Why? Because they want increase in pay. A lot of that stuff, you guys go on these rants about being a business owner, but then you haven't even assessed to build your own value. So are you worth what you're trying to do? Are you valuable in the space that you're in, right? Are you even worth the prices that you charge?
And that is a double-edged sword for real, because figuring out labor and how you operate and how you do it more efficiently and effectively at a low cost is a real thing. And I'm not a Ford company. I'm not a $1 billion company where the executives are getting $20 million in salary. You know what I mean? Yeah, there we go. However, it is still a realistic challenge for small business owners, right? What does that look like for us to be competitive in the marketplace? And you have to be so in tune with it and your numbers, and knowing the ebbs and flows and the heartbeat of your business is so important. And we joke and we laugh, but we mean it from the bottom of our hearts. As we see a lot of business owners who are not ready and not prepared for any rainy day at all. They don't know what's happening in the business. They can't scale. They can't grow. All they think is they need more credit. They need to do more courses. They need to do, but you were living fine off the 50,000.
Yeah. I mean, and a real life example, just so it's a double-edged thing, right? Think about the number of businesses, right? And we'll pull the statistic in another episode, but think about the number of businesses that went out of business during COVID. But then think about the number of businesses that was produced and formed and birthed during COVID, right? And then on the third leg of that triangle, think about the businesses who was able to scale because of COVID. One of the companies is Zoom. Zoom skyrocketed during COVID, right? Everybody is on the virtual situation, but they were in business long before COVID and sustain their business to be able to make it to a disaster to where they were a hot commodity, right? So, and then think about those businesses who went out of business, those mom and pop shops, right? Those people who are not really being stewards of their business, right? And so we just have to make sure that we study our industry, we know what's going on, we pick the right entity, we go in there with the right income in mind, we go in there with the right marketing strategy, right? And then we have a plan to on what we're doing, especially after your first year. Have a plan on what you're doing and how you're going to do it better, bigger, and just take it to the next level.
And reevaluate. Yeah. Reevaluate. Always reassess, right? And the best way to do it is in 90-day increments. I love, a quarterly situation. 3 months, 90 days is a really good indicator on how the business is going for that season. It's a reason why quarters exist, right? And so 90-day increments.
That is the 12-week year. I forget the author of it, but it's a really good book about every 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Pushing a goal for every 12 weeks, which is the 90.
You're pushing a goal. You're reassessing your processes. You're looking at how effective that quarter was. Yeah. How, the numbers don't lie. And so if you want to scale and go to a different level, you got to be analytical about some things, right? You may love the banana peanut butter cupcake, but nobody's buying that. And you're wasting resources by saying, well, I'm going to do fresh cupcakes every day. And you keep making the banana peanut butter cupcake.
For sure.
Because you like it. But nobody's buying that. Yeah. So every 90 days, reassess. Now, if you weren't doing it 90 days, you'd have went the whole year wasting thousands of dollars on the peanut butter banana cupcake that nobody's buying. And that could be the thing that's pulling your business down.
Yeah.
Instead of doubling up, making more of the strawberry banana cupcake.
Now, in order to do that, you got to look at them numbers.
Look at
your data. You got to look at your data. The data is going to show you what's working, what's not.
Selling out of the banana so.
Right.
Let me make triple, quadruple.
Make that the main product.
Quadruple. Literally, one of the young ladies, Super. She always does, like, the first time she did, she said $1 million in Black Friday. And they asked her a question like, well, hey, why? How did you do $1 million? How did you, what was that about? And she said, well, because I realized that I didn't have enough inventory. I kept selling out. But if I had $1 million worth of product, I made $1 million. She said, so that's what I did. I kept buying and looking at the things that were my top sellers. And I doubled down on that, and then I discounted it at Black Friday so that I had more than enough. She's like, because I kept selling out. And if you keep selling out and you don't have the money to re-up, then you stuck. You can't get to that next level. See how it's all connected. She looked at the numbers, and she probably also, too, didn't upgrade her life. She was like, no, I'm from the hood. I'm sticking by this to a particular point. I can see what's happening here. Okay. And so knowing the numbers is so important, guys. I know it's not warm and fuzzy. It's not the emotional thing that gets you going. It's not the shiny object, but that is the key to really the fundamentals and taking your business to the next level. Picking the right entity, having your business plan, that growth plan, the budget, what that looks like, right? And really falling in love with the numbers.
Yeah.
I think that
it's as simple as that.
Right. I don't think we can beat that horse anymore.
No. No. So, hey, guys, we hope you enjoyed the first episode. If you guys got any questions, want to reach out to us, right? Hit the link below or put in the comments what questions you may have you want us to answer that's business related. You can reach out to us on our social via the links below. Make sure you click the like button, share this with your friends, and subscribe to our channel, guys. Mind your business. And we'll be here every Wednesday for a new episode. Peace.
I think we closed it up. Mind your biz. We'll see y'all next Wednesday.
Yeah.
All the things he said. We want to equip, engage, and empower.
All right. See y'all next week, guys. Peace. Not only are we're coming at this a real place because we study businesses and been in businesses long enough to know what real businesses do to grow their business, and we're taking that, and we also know where you're coming from just starting and having to figure it out. Yeah. So we don't want to come at you or talk at you like, well, you should have a da-da-da-da-da-da.
Absolutely not. I don't.
We know where you at.
Not gonna do that.
Yeah, we know where you at, and we want to cordially take you to the place where you should be, so you can tighten it up.
I just feel like when you know better, you do better.
For sure.
So when you first start out, you going to the board, and you want me to go. Maybe I'll go to the board.
I'm not in there.
We start.